From a bit of a White House snub to a White House invitation, Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger offering to help the president build support for strikes on Syria. But at first, the Obama administration, well, they ignored his calls. So what has changed? Congressman Kinzinger joins us, and you've now heard back from the White House. Is that correct?
I heard back
after outing
quickly,
them on ABC.
That's right. Yeah, we made the point that, hey, look, a week ago I offered to say, look, I'm supportive of the strikes. We're willing to talk with folks in our party about this, and didn't hear anything back. Made the comment, and about a half hour later I got a call from the White House, and yesterday I went and met with the chief of staff.
Why didn't they call you back? Did they tell you when they finally did call you?
Well, here's the deal. I mean, and you hear this from Republicans and Democrats. Congressional, I guess, bridges between Congress and the president have been burned for a long time. The president has never built bridges with Congress, and whether it was with the health care bill or whether it's now with Syria, they've just basically disregarded Congress. And so all of a sudden they say, well, we need congressional support for this, and they're trying to play catch up, in a week, and you can't do it. And so that's been some of the difficulty. Hopefully now in the future the administration's learned that you have to have Congress as part of government.
But I would have thought they would have heard that a Republican congressman calling them saying, I'll help you out with Syria. It's like having a plant in the enemy camp and then just ignoring you until you out them on TV and they get a little embarrassed because they haven't bothered to do that, so then they call you.
Well, you would think too. And plus I've been, pretty outspoken about this and my belief to hold the Assad regime accountable for the use of chemical weapons. And you would think, having been out as much as I am on this issue, that they would know to call and talk. But you know what, they didn't, and we learned something about that.
All right, you say hold the Assad regime accountable. Now we're sort of in this discussion, this diplomacy stage. Holding them accountable usually means some sense of punishment associated with it. If this goes smoothly, let's say, and that there is diplomacy that gets it to the point where we have control of his chemical weapons, he has no more. Has he been held accountable? Because you still are missing sort of a punishment element. He's still in control. Right. He's still in power, but now we have his chemical weapons, so he can't do it again.
Well, I think it'd be great. It would be a great outcome. Now, again, we're relying on.
Does that hold him accountable?
Yeah, I think so. He loses his chemical weapons. He can never use them again. That's a big part of his deterrent and his arsenal.
He got to use them and kill 14 or 1,500.
And then we took them away from him. I think it's better than using military action, but we're relying on the notoriously unreliable Russians who have vetoed every action in the United Nations against Assad. I think the president, frankly, has been rolled on this issue, but I think we have an obligation now to push forward with this and have landmarks out there, have timelines out there to say in a week we expect this, this, and this to be done. If it's done, you get another week, and then these things have to be done. And at the point we see this as a stall tactic, I think Assad needs held accountable with airstrikes. All
right, I hope by my question you don't think that I wouldn't prefer diplomacy over military action, because I mean if we can achieve it. I was only asking your opinion. I was not suggesting that I thought diplomacy was a bad idea. That trumps military action. All right, what are the odds that this is going to happen?
You mean with the Russians?
Right.
I think probably less than a quarter. I hope it works. I really do, but I think less than a quarter.
All right. So then what? I mean, do you expect that the president will come back to Congress? I mean, frankly, it seems like we're now sort of in the discussion stage, which is the endless Washington discussion, and I don't know if that's necessarily.
Feels like Iraq weapons inspectors again. I'll tell you, I think you read Peggy Noonan's article. I read that today. I think this is just an opportunity for the president to let this go away. I think even if Russia stalls.
If this goes
there
away,
won't be.
If this goes away, we've taken neither a military strike nor have we been successful through diplomacy through Russia. This sort of goes away. Well, then we haven't held him accountable in any fashion, and then we go back to the question of the credibility of the United States, which some people.
Well, exactly, and that's why I think he should have been held accountable a few weeks ago. I think this thing goes away, and I think we don't hear about it again. I think this is the president's out. He made the case in his speech tonight, in the first half of his speech, that he should have made to the American people 2 weeks ago from the Oval Office to bring the American people in on this. Instead, he left for a week. I understand he went to the G20, but he should have made this case to the American people prior, and now he's playing catch up, and we've had to try to rely on the Russians to come in and rescue this, and they frankly don't have American interests at heart.
Congressman, thank you, sir.
It's good being here.
And a growing